Disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research.
I'm going to be going. I have still quite a lot of traveling to do, and I didn't have a chance to come live with you guys yesterday for a variety of reasons. One, I had been up since 6:30 on Saturday and did not go back to sleep at all until, I don't know, I slept in the car for like an hour. And from the time that we left, where 450 people were gathering and lining up in line, when I went back just an hour or so later, hey Diesel, it's nice to see you, there was like 4,000 people. And of course, that was, I didn't see how long, and I think that it was even bigger. I mean, people were just coming by the truckloads. And by the time there was morning, I have to say there was 10 or 20,000 people down the road. All I could see was people's heads. And they were, we were all packed in there. We were all kind of stretched out. We started getting pushed on the, they put these barriers. This is what I'll say. Secret Service did an amazing job. Turning Points USA did an amazing job putting everything together inside the gates, but they put barrier gates around it, and then that was local law enforcement. Local law enforcement dropped the ball. I don't think that community is very friendly, because I went up there and explained to an officer that, this is going to be a shit show, basically, the way they got it set up. Okay, I've been to enough of these things where, and of course, he's like, what did he say? Oh, we're not going to do that. You're just going to have to, worry about yourself. And I'm like, you got it. I'll be happy to worry about myself. Have a great night. God bless you. Thank you for your service, right? Basically, you guys know what I was saying in those very, sarcastic words, so to speak. And then literally 2.5 hours later, Secret Service is screaming at everybody that they need 20 feet in front of that gate. Well, you know what? Local law enforcement dropped the ball, right? Period. I was trying to explain them. I was trying just to be helpful. They're too dense. They're too arrogant to take help. And I'm also filing a complaint against Glendale Police Department when I get back home. 88 complaints. I'm filing 88 complaints with them and their state attorney. What they did to the elderly and the disabled was absolutely deplorable, and that is on their hands. They would not let any cars go and pick them up, where, mind you, some of these people are in wheelchairs and motor scooters and, other crazy stuff. And they made them literally walk a half a mile away. That is, when you have disabled people, you have to make reasonable accommodations. There was no reasonability with the accommodations that they were doing to those disabled people. I mean, people in motor electric chairs and wheelchairs and, people that just had walking disabilities. When you got outside, they didn't care. So we're going to make sure that they do care. And, I got a few people that are going to give me statements, but I'm going up there, and I'm going, not up there physically, but I'm going to call up there and speak to somebody that's in charge and tell them that is absolutely unacceptable. And I think they violated the law. I think law enforcement outside of that arena violated the law, and I hope they're not doing that to every time things go on in that stadium, because there was limited parking, and you can't reasonably make somebody that was dropped off at a particular corner have to go another half a mile away to be picked up. It's just unreasonable. So outside of the craziness, outside of the arena, now let me tell you guys something. You guys know I have been to a lot of these things, okay? A lot. Not near as much as our leadership has, but a lot of these things. I have been at all sizes. I have never in a million years witnessed what I witnessed being outside of the State Farm Stadium. It was insane. I had never seen that many people. Usually we're there, we have a few hundred people. We've been at events where there are a few hundred people. Guys, these people started lining up. I couldn't see down the road. They had to have been lining up around 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon. We got wind that people were lining up. We got photos that they were lining up and staying in line. And so we ended up grabbing our stuff. That's why we didn't go to sleep, because we were supposed to go to sleep that night and get up like around midnight and start making our way there. Well, plans changed very quickly, because by 8 o'clock, we realized there was already 450 people in line. Now, we were the front row Joes. We're usually at the front of the line. But we always put our, wherever our place is where our place is, And so we got in the line in our place, and we were sitting there. And so usually, and we talked to the people around us. We were there for about an hour, 2 hours, getting to know everybody, speaking and stuff like that, getting a game plan on where we're going to park vehicles. We knew where our vehicles were. They weren't going to be able to stay there. And so we decided to go back and just get just a few minutes of air conditioning. Was hot as heck out there, and get a few minutes of shut-eye. So I crawled in the back seat, and I think I was back there for maybe an hour and a half. I got some sleep, and then, security comes by and wakes us up and stuff like that, which we deal with all the time. They were cool. And so we had our plan B. We went and executed plan B, which happened to be a mile down the road, about a mile and a tenth of a mile, so down the road, and we Ubered back to the location where we had put our chairs. And when we got there, we couldn't find our chairs. There was so many people. It was good. I mean, I didn't have any problems. There were so many people out there, no problems. But then all of a sudden, somebody says, I think it was like around 4 o'clock in the morning, they're going to be opening the gates, and everybody rushed over to the gates. Then the cops come back. Everybody get on the other side of the road. And that's where I finally took the camera. We got kicked back on that side of the road, got the camera out while the flashing lights were, and I did a live just to show. Did I do a live? I think I did a live that night. Maybe I did. Maybe I just recorded some of the stuff, but I'm pretty sure I did a live out there with all the cops and stuff. I can't remember one way or the other. Again, lack of sleep. My brain does not function with no sleep. So we get that, and then all of a sudden, we're strategists, so we're sitting out there, we're watching everybody, we're trying to make our strategy because we're going to make our way closer to the gate. Obviously, it's all about strategy, okay? That's what we excel at when we're out there. So we finally, everybody starts going over there. Well, it's kind of hard because we're wearing vests, and everybody our jerseys, and everybody kind of knows us or knows our jerseys, or we've got pretty famous jerseys, and so it's kind of hard to sneak, across the street without everybody knowing. And so Mike's like, I'm gonna go for it, and I'm like. And so Sharon gets up. She's like, oh, go for it. And I'm getting up, and I'm like, they're like, this is not going to work. And as soon as people started seeing us move, then, little by slow, other people started moving. And so we ended up taking our chairs and sticking them off the sidewalk and into the grass, because if the cops were going to come back and force everybody off the sidewalk, I was keeping my butt right there in the grass. And so long story short is everybody ended up just at around 5 o'clock. Now the gates didn't open until 6:30. Everybody just bum rushes. Now you're talking about, at this point, 10 to 20,000 people decide it's a smart time to just get over there in front of the gate and be a pack of sardines. And it's like, you can't tell them nothing because everybody's a knucklehead. And I finally had to push people away, and I put my seat down. I said, look, move your toes or some toes are going to be broken, because I'm sitting down. Like, I got to sit. My back can't handle that. That's why I bring my chair. I'm very comfortable with our, the way we do things. But all these people around me, so I ended up pulling the chair out and stepping on something, backed up a little bit, and I was able to put my chair down. Thank you kindly. Appreciate it. But I'm sitting. You guys want to stand up and be packed in like sardines? Go right ahead. Bless you. My butt's sitting down right in the middle of all of that. I pulled out my chair and sat down in the middle of, you guys saw how crazy it was out there. I had my chair pulled out and sitting down in the middle of all that. And so then it started getting crazy because people wouldn't move. We couldn't even get the employees in. The employees couldn't get through the gate. We had officers going. And again, I tried to help the officers out so this wouldn't happen, and they wanted to be arrogant and be like, oh, you need to take care of yourself, ma'am. Okay, sir. Have a great day. God bless, and thank you for your service, right? I went over there and told them, I said, this is going to be a shit show, y'all. I knew right then. These people had no freaking clue how to handle something like this. Now, again, I thought that they were rude, arrogant, and they weren't beyond reproach. In a situation like that, when you have tens of thousands of people, you should be willing to open your ears and listen, especially to people that have been to a lot of these things. I didn't even go and start saying, you guys are going to need to do this. I should have just interject myself while I knew a sergeant was right there and say, look, this is going to be a hot mess express, and somebody's going to get hurt if you don't do this, and this. But you know what? They're two knuckleheads. But long story short, after we did get in, they didn't have like concessions. People were late into work. Concessions weren't ready. It was just a lot of stuff with the facility itself, just being the local people out there were just a hot mess express. See,